So I came out into the bushveld for the eclipse to honor the anchoring of the sacred feminine. I'm just showing you this amazing view from the house that I've been in for the past couple of days. Just this vast landscape, really beautiful. And since the start of the eclipse, as the eclipse started, the wind began howling, and it hasn't let up. And it feels to me that it's almost like we make this intention to anchor the sacred feminine, and we expand our awareness out into the vastness of the soul self. And it's a bit like catapulting out into the solar winds. And there's a sense of how difficult that can be at times for the physical body and for the emotional body that is experiencing itself through the physical body, and even for the thought forms that have to deal with this kind of sense of the solar wind. My phone ran out of battery, and I'm back home recording the meditation for this week. And as you can hear from my voice, both in the previous recording and now, I have a head cold and quite a bad cough as well. And what happens when we're in between two eclipses, so always eclipses come in pairs. So we have the solar eclipse that was at the new moon, and now we're going to have a lunar eclipse at the full moon in the middle of May. And the lunar eclipse can happen prior to the solar eclipse or after, but there's always this 2-week transitional period in which we get to process that which is coming up for investigation during the eclipse season, during this eclipse time. So the 2 weeks is a time of flux, and quite often it can be also a little bit difficult for us physically or emotionally or mentally. And this solar eclipse around anchoring the sacred feminine is about belonging fully in the body. So it makes an enormous amount of sense that my lungs, which are a little bit perhaps hesitant to be here fully, should come up with some kind of a physical response. So I tell you this story in order for you to be able to look at your own experience for this time between the two eclipses now, and see what's coming up for you and how that might relate to anchoring the sacred feminine, becoming fully embodied here on earth. And one of the ways that we can best negotiate this time is to use our meditations to recognize how the body is a temple for the soul, and how precious it is, and how it's not less than the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, are not less than the soul simply because they're more constricted and limited. They have a particular role that they play in allowing the soul to really experience its longings and to transform, to become more full, more present, more here. Sinking deeper into the sensations of how it is to be in the present moment. How does it feel to be in the physical body? And just take a moment to scan from the top of the head all the way down to the soles of the feet, noticing where there's tension, noticing where the body can deeply relax, noticing where the sense of calmness and peacefulness that you can draw in through the crown of the head can easily flow where there's some resistance to it being received. And holding it all with a vast, compassionate awareness that doesn't need to change anything, that simply allows things to be the way they are. Because if we are to honor this physical body as a temple to the soul, we're honoring it as it is. Perfection isn't about having a blemish-free existence. It's about noticing the perfection in the imperfection of every moment. How each moment reflects exactly what it is that the soul is longing to learn. Noticing the emotional state that you are experiencing right now. Notice whatever the emotions are, where they are experienced in the body as feelings. Notice the thought forms that cycle around, telling stories, catching us, dragging us away from the present moment. Being with them, holding it all with graciousness, not pushing away, letting the thoughts float by like clouds in the sky. Expanding the awareness out towards this quality that is presented by the soul self, your unique soul essence. Some people that might be joyful, others strong. Some might experience it as unconditionally loving, deeply wise. It will have a unique, essential quality that belongs to you. And it always has the capacity to see and know and understand, can hold it all with ease, with grace, with unconditional love. And if we are to experience the physical body as a temple for this extraordinarily wise and compassionate soul self, we do so from a place that acknowledges that the physical body too is magnificent, despite the fact that it might have a head cold or an ache in the hip, despite the fact that there might be parts of the physical body that we reject because they're not beautiful enough or young enough or good enough. So too for the emotional body, for the mental body. And when we reject these aspects of self, so we create a kind of defensiveness, a rigidity, an armoring to shield us from any kind of judgment from the outside world. And that rigidity keeps us small, and it keeps us disconnected from the soul self. So instead of creating barriers to the vulnerability, just simply allow the body to be imperfect, just the way it is, and then draw the love, the compassion, its unconditional acceptance from the soul self into all the parts of the body that are longing to be loved, that feel imperfect, that are not as wonderful as you might wish them to be, as your small self might wish them to be. Notice how that feels when you just simply allow this love to nourish and see and truly understand the pain of being human, both for the self and of course as we heal the self, so it radiates out into the world without us needing to do anything at all. It alters our experience in the world, and it alters the world's experience of itself. Breathing all the way out into the soul self, back into the tiniest little microscopic essence of this physical existence. Breathing out into the soul self, back in again. Really getting a sense of integrating this quality of being vast, recognizing that at the ultimate level the soul self is nothing other than oneness consciousness, connected to all that is, as all that is, indissolubly part of all that is. Recognizing that this tiny heart inside this tiny body is also the heart of the world, the heart of the soul, the heart of the God essence.